All right, Shalom. This is the brother Nahalia from the GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah. And a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath who are believing this word, in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit. Kodash is holy. Akyam is brothers. Akwath is sisters. Shalom means peace. And Yashar Allah is Israel in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. And it reads, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord." All right, now I want to go into a lesson through the Spirit on World War III and prophecy. All right, we're in the time of prophecy. All right, we're living in the time of the third world's woe, if you can receive it. All right, which is what's called the third world war, as it's known in news today. All right, and I want to go into some articles and just bring out some of the recent things that have been said about the current state of the world, the geopolitics of the earth. All right, because it all really goes back to prophecy. All right, let's go here. All right, so this is Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 11. And it reads, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it." All right, and everything is being guided, if you can receive it, by the will and the counsel of the one they ignorantly call God. The controversy on the planet Earth is all being orchestrated by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, let's go here before we get another article. All right, this is Joel 3 and verse 1. "Behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." So it's the Lord's determination to gather the nations, to pour upon them his indignation. All right. And what we see are the politics. Salakia, what we see are the politics that are going into the orchestration of the third world's woe. All right. We're in a beautiful time through the Spirit. So without further ado, I want to go into this article. All right. Now, we know, just as a preface, that there's a conflict in Ukraine. All right. Which is pushed by the West, which is America, particularly, all right, which are Edomites, all right, whether they're considered Russian, French, Australian, Israeli, they're all Edomites. The so-called white man, the biblical nationality of the so-called white man is Esau, Edom, all right? The controversy that we see with, if you don't know prophecy, if you don't understand the scriptures, the world looks very confusing, but the Lord has given us the word, and we are able to navigate the world that we are looking at through the Spirit and mercy of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, so let's go here first. This article reads, all right, Iran-backed Yemeni rebels shoot down U.S. drone. All right, now Iran goes back to the Persians, all right, the Elamites. Okay, now in that region, you have the Elamites, you have the Ishmaelites, all right, you have Esau in there. And all of these things are the will of the Lord to gather these nations against each other. All right. Right now, there's a line being drawn between the West, all right, and the BRIC nations. I'll just call it that way. Really, the line is drawn on between Russia and America, which are both Edomite nations. But because Esau in the West have ruled so wickedly, all the nations are being gathered against her. All right. So real quick, this is Iran-backed Yemeni rebels shoot down U.S. drone. All right, it says U.S. officials said the MQ-9 drone pictured here in a training photo over Nevada was shot down over the Yemeni coast. Yemen's Houthi rebels have shot down a U.S. military drone. U.S. officials and the Iran-aligned Houthi movement have said. A U.S. official said an MQ-9 drone was shot down off the Yemeni coast by the Houthi forces. This was confirmed by a Houthi military spokesman. It comes as Washington is on alert for activity by Iran-backed groups in the Middle East as its close ally, Israel, a fierce rival of Tehran, battles Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Now, the scriptures say the least of the flock shall draw him out. All right. And what we're seeing, is the catalyst, if you will. These are just more straws on the camel's back. All right. To fuel what the Lord desires, which is ultimately a third world's woe. Matter of fact, let's go here as we continue, because what you're noticing, too, is that the landscape of warfare is changing. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So warfare, as we know it, is changing, and it's changing dramatically. All right. Particularly when you deal with the Ukrainian front, the warfare is different. Drones are being used heavily in the battlefield of war. All right. In these recent times. All right. And that's going into how the missiles are going to play a huge role in in these last days. All right. Concerning prophecy, because ultimately the missiles were mentioned in the scriptures, contrary to popular belief. Such a deadly weapon. How would they not be mentioned? Because you have those who are Israelites who don't acknowledge that the missiles are in the scriptures, but they are. All right. Matter of fact, let's go here. Just as a quick example, this is Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest, let's start at 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now, this is going into how the allies of America are going to turn against her. And it says they're going to burn her with fire. Now, we know that America is pretty much isolated from those European allies. So how would they burn her with fire? All right. This is going into the missiles. For those Israelites who still believe that the missiles are not in the scriptures, it's very plain to see that the scriptures speak of a fire that consumes. All right. Other nations sparing no arrows. What arrows are they talking about? So when we see the warfare, the landscape of warfare change, we understand that it's going back to prophecy. And drones have been used in these conflicts, whether it's the Hamas and Israel theater of war or the Ukrainian-Russian theater of war. Drones have been used heavily because what they're able to do is they're able to fly over enemy's position and just drop bombs, drop a payload. Now, that's for battlegrounds. But we know through the spirit that eventually this conflict is going to escalate. All right. Now, Iran being bold enough to shoot down, well, I'll say the Yemeni rebels. All right. It's allegedly Iran is backing them. But we'll just, for the sake of the article, we'll say the Yemeni rebels shoot down U.S. drone. It's a bold thing to do. But it shows you the climate we're in, where you have these nations that are starting to gather together and they're saying within themselves that America is weak as we, because the world is witnessing, right, how spread thin America is. The world is witnessing this. And we notice, according to scripture, that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is despised in general. But particularly the Edomites in America are particularly despised. So you have these nations that are rising up against the West. Because when we mention NATO and EU, that's just a vehicle for the U.S., for the Golden City, Babylon the Great. EU and NATO are just vehicles for the whore to push her agenda. All right, this is Isaiah 14:9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Because you think about America in its golden age, no nation would dare speak against her, let alone take action. But you're starting to see nations begin to be more and more emboldened, especially with this Israel conflict, right? The conflict in Israel, all right, is really showing that there is a division even amongst the allies of the U.S. in the direction that they're going. It's beautiful when you think about it through the spirit, but these are just the small details that lead us to the fulfillment of prophecy, man. And it's beautiful. All right. Now let's jump down. I just want to hit this point. It says last month, a U.S. Navy warship intercepted cruise missiles and several drones launched by the Houthis from Yemen towards Israel. And this shows you how easily everyone's going to get dragged into this conflict. All right. It shows you. You have this rhetoric over here in the U.S. that they're not going to get involved. They're going to provide weapons and aid, but they're not going to get involved in these conflicts. But they're gradually, steadily adding themselves and inserting themselves physically in these situations. And it's only a matter of time, contrary to popular belief. Because, again, you don't go against the will of the Lord. And the will of the Lord is to gather these nations to pour upon them his indignation. And that means a global conflict is going to occur. Whether the world is willing to accept that or not, it doesn't change the will of the Heavenly Father. We just read in Joel, the 3rd chapter, the Lord's going to do this for his people's sake. Because when you think about it, all these nations took a part in our destruction. A lot of our people forget our history that the Ishmaelites, the so-called Arabs, were instrumental in our slave trade. And there was a slave trade between the Islamic slave trade before there was a slave trade transatlantic. And the so-called Arabs, the Ishmaelites, were intricately involved. The Hamites, of course, were intricately involved. So when we see all these nations going at it, remember, we don't have a dog in that fight. That's the Lord. Let's go back to it. You know, because Jake have a compassionate heart, but you have to understand that the Lord is a power, a judge. And what they did, they have to pay for what they've done. And this is what the Lord's saying. Joel 3:2, I will also gather all nations, not a few, all nations, and will bring them down to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land, and they cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. And they all took a part in that. Even the nations that benefited from the products that were exported as a product of our captivity. All the nations took a part in this. Keep that in mind because it's going to get wicked. I don't mean wicked, but it's going to get vicious. That's the best way I can put it. Because what the Lord's about to do is righteous. But it's going to get vicious out here because of what they've done to our people. When the Lord said, let's get that, man. Because you're going to start to see a lot of footage of what's happening in these wars. All right. But you have to remember what the Lord said, man. You have to keep this at the forefront of your mind, what the Lord said concerning these things, because these nations are not innocent. All right. This is Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 8. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. And we mentioned this on Sunday. The world is about to find out how hard the Lord is willing to go for his people, beginning with the elect, of course. The world is about to find out. The Lord, man, let's get it. This is Psalms chapter 9 and verse 16. The Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. With the point being, the Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. So when we see what's going on with World War III is going to be a vehicle for judgment for a lot of people. World War III is going to be used as an instrument of judgment for a lot of people. The Lord says he's going to pour out his indignation on the nations for what they've done, for selling us as a nation of people, for casting lots for our people. The Lord did that as a punishment unto us, but the Lord always punished the nations that afflicted us. This is one of those instruments, this global conflict. All right, so when we see these nations fighting against each other, understand that the Lord is intimately involved in righteousness. All right, so I want to continue. I want to back up and go to this article. Salakia, bear with me. All right, so this is beautiful. All right, so it says boycotts in Turkey over Israel's war in Gaza spread to Coca-Cola and Nescafe. It says protests against Israel in Turkey are growing as the Turkish parliament, several universities and local municipalities joined a boycott against major multinational brands over their alleged support of Israel's war against Hamas. See, the narrative is changing. All right, in the midst of this conflict, the narrative is beginning to change. Keep in mind, right, you had nations that were afraid to speak against the state of Israel not too long ago. You had nations that were literally afraid to speak against the state of Israel. And now you're starting to see nations rise up, boycott, speak openly against this alliance because, again, these Edomites in the West are despised so much that other nations are going to another Edomite nation, the Russians, as a guard. And this is what's giving them the confidence to speak the way they do. Turkey's a NATO ally. Keep this in mind, right? Now, in America, they're making laws where you can't, if you boycott Israel, they'll defund you, roughly paraphrasing. And I'm saying that because New York recently released a press release. The mayor of New York, I forget his name, or the governor, I forget his name, but he mentioned legislation against boycotting Israel. You're seeing the complete opposite over there in Turkey because, again, contrary to popular belief, the world outside of America and the West doesn't look at America and the West as heroes. And for good reason. Let's go here. That's why in Revelation 17th chapter it said, even the allies shall hate the whore. They benefited at a point, but now it's getting to a point where they're losing by being allied with the whore. And when I say the whore, I'm referring to Revelation the 17th chapter, the whore that sitteth upon, let's get it. Because that whore is America, if you can receive it. All right, this is Revelation 17:4. And the woman was arrayed. You know what? Let's go here. Let's go to 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. 7 heads represent NATO. All right. And the 10 horns represent the European Union. And the woman is America. And those are the 2 vehicles that she uses to push forth her agenda. Now, the beast is greatly despised. All right. And I'm talking about America and its allies are greatly despised on the world stage. Russia, which are also Edomites, have now become a guard unto those nations that despise the whore and the beast. This is Ezekiel 38. And I'm going to just hit the point. Ezekiel 38:2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. All right. And this is Russia. All right. They're in the land of Japheth, which is Gog, the land of Magog. But we know that these are Edomites occupying that land. All right. Verse 3 reads, and say, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. All right. Going into these Russians. Verse 4 says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Continuing, I'm going to jump down. Verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right. So Russia is presenting another option on the world stage. This is why you have nations that are confident enough to speak against America, confident enough to do some of the things that they're doing in the shadows, because they feel like they have a guard, they have another option. All of this goes back to prophecy. And it's a beautiful thing when you sit back and look at it, because, again, Esau is starting to be seen for who he actually is, not who he pretended to be. And a perfect example of is those Israelis, which go back to the tribe of Amalek, the chief house of Esau, Edom, the so-called the small hats. I'll just put it that way. In the state of Israel right now are Edomites. They're not the children of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. They're not the children of God. They're not the Israelites. They are Edomites, so-called white people who have appropriated the Israelite culture, but they're Edomites. Just like you have these Edomites over here who call themselves American. They appropriated a culture, they adopted the culture and named themselves after that culture, just like they did as the Greeks. So when you see them small hats that call themselves Israelis, they're not Israelites. They are so-called white people that have appropriated a culture that doesn't belong to them. Point blank, period. And the reason we know that is because there's nowhere in prophecy where the children of Israel will have missiles and an army to drop bombs on other nations of people. We would need salvation. We would need to be saved from our enemies. So when you understand that those small hats are just so-called white people in the land of Israel, in the land of Israel, those are just so-called white people. When you understand that, everything becomes plain. The scriptures say that Esau would rule by the sword. How have they been able to stay in that land? By the sword, by death, by bloodshed. And the world sees this. We're not the only ones that recognize. The world is witnessing. And that's why Esau is not, he's being made bare. The world is seeing him for who he is, not who he pretended to be. He pretended to be the bringer of light, but now we're starting to see who he actually is, man. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Because at one point, they would scare you into not speaking against the atrocities that are being done in the face of everybody. But now you're seeing more people, all right, more nations stand up and say, nah, that shit is wrong. Excuse my French. And this is only the beginning, because, again, all of this is going to lead to war. The scriptures say the least of the flock shall draw them out. And it's plain to see who the least of the flock is. It's Amalek, the small hats in the state of Israel. Their aggressive tactics is uniting the Ishmaelites over there in that land, whether they know that or not. Those Ishmaelites in that land are being united by what's being done to those people in the land of Israel. All right, whether it's the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, all of that is uniting those Ishmaelites in that area. And it's beautiful because ultimately it's going to lead to conflict. And that's all according to the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. Matter of fact, this is Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. And whether it's the boycotts, all right, whether it's the financing of these rebels against the state of Israel, all of this is a gradual step and build up to a global conflict that the Lord has told us about before there were cars and internet and guns and missiles. The Lord told us about this, and now we're witnessing this conflict become, I'll say we're witnessing this conflict manifest. All right, look at this. This article is from an hour ago. It says U.S. strikes Iranian-backed militias in Syria. So even the land of Syria, that's still a theater of war. All of these places are these hot spots, Africa. And it's only increasing, so much so that people are numb to it when they see it on TV or on the news. And it's beautiful through the spirit and power of the Yahweh Shema Shah, because we know that this is all according to the will of the Yahweh Shema Shah. All right, look at this. Pro-Palestinian London demo to proceed despite government concerns. So you have all of these Ishmaelites globally rising up. You have other nations that are rising up in protest because, again, the world is starting to wake up to who Esau is, man, not who he's pretending to be. And it's beautiful because, again, America backing it shows the world where America stands, because America, with their words, will say, look, we're the good guys. We're here to push democracy. We're here to bring progress to the world. And this exposes them, because one thing about them small hats, they not pretending. Them small hats over there in the land of Judea, they may be playing like they victims, but when you see how they actually moving over there, they moving like straight Edomites. They leveling cities. They killing the babies. And what I mean by that, for edification, they bombing indiscriminately, man. They not playing no games over there. They over there laying that land flat. And that's all according to prophecy, because, again, the least of the flock is going to draw them out. See, them Amalekites over there, they not pretending. They Edomites. They mask is off. And the world is starting to wake up to this. All right, this is Obadiah chapter 1 and 2. Behold, you know what? Let's start at 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So again, they're despised amongst the heathens. All right, them small hats especially, and they're divided. The Edomite nation, the so-called white man, is a nation of people. They're divided between Russians and Americans, between small hats, the Israelis against the Russians. They're just divided. And the scriptures say a house divided cannot stand, man. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying. I just wanted to go through some of those articles through the Spirit with an update for what's going on. Through the Spirit is World War III and prophecy. And we're in a beautiful time, man. The Lord is blessing us to see these things, man. Matter of fact, and this transcends whatever we're going through personally, because, again, we're in a time of prophecy. All right, this is Matthew chapter 13 and verse 16. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.